Welcome back to Politico Politica with me, your host, Isabella Akinseye. Before the break, we discussed political illiteracy with our guest, Dr. Ezekwesili. Dr. Ezekwesili, it's now time for our Politics and More segment. So when did you decide that you would want to become the president of Nigeria? Is it something that you've harbored as a child? Oh, what would I like to be when I grow up? I would like to be the president.
No, not at all. The one that I've told the story often, I thought of as a child was, you know, my dad telling me, I asking my dad, why is it that I see so much poverty around me? Why are we not like the countries that I see on television? And my dad saying that it is the difference is that one country is governed well, the other country is not governed well, and that there's something called good governance. And so as a child, I was fortunate, privileged, to become one of those that founded Transparency International. It was consistent with this issue of fixing, you know, bad governance and promoting good governance. And then, but I came to the conclusion, actually, end of 2017, it wasn't about running. It was about what we just discussed about political consciousness. I came to the understanding that our citizens, not being politically conscious, were leaving the space wide open for our political class to define it in any way they liked. I began that idea that I would spend much more time talking about politics and how politics relates to governance, how it relates to economic development, and to really get the citizens who follow me to see that we needed to do more. That was 2017. By the beginning of 2018, a tragedy occurred that really went, got me, off on that journey, even faster than I imagined. And that was when the Benue killings hit us in the early hours of the new year. And by that time, I thought to myself, this tragedy happened. The reaction of the government to the tragedy was similar to what one had seen that happened under the previous administration, and the fact that the kind of way that the Nigerian life was being devalued, as if to say nothing happened. The next thing that I heard the government talking about was how they were preparing to launch the re-election bid of the president on a day that we were seeing pictures of Nigerians gruesomely murdered, children, their mothers, grandparents, and all kinds of things. I mean, it was horrific. It was really horrific. And so I say, I am giving a red card to the political class. And that's how I started tweeting about red card to the political class. And many Nigerians said, we are also tired. We're giving red card to this political class because there's no difference. You know, whether it's APC, PDP, we don't see the difference. It's like 6.5 dozen. So from, that Twitter engagement came an organic move that said, we can have a movement of citizens who are saying we're fed up with this kind of quality of governance, and that there is need for our political system to reinvent itself and to bring in the kinds of minds that would look at politics differently from this bad leadership, self-aggrandizement, incompetency, mediocrity, and every kind of thing that, that just shows a lack of understanding that governance must be to improve the quality of life of the citizens. So it was from that we then went on to do something called the Summit of the Alternative, sort of saying, if you give red card to certain people, then you need to be thinking who are the credible, substitutes to those that you're giving red card to. And so that process was on. We got to the point where we looked at what was going on in the polity. People were saying, we are getting ready to go and choose between the lesser.
Like
yeah, you said. They were getting ready to go and choose the lesser of two evils. So we were back again to what had happened in previous elections. So I said, Nigeria doesn't have 4 years to experiment at this momentum of failure. And this pattern of entrenched acceptance of failure, it really got to me, especially when you juxtapose it with the fact that a report came out showing that we had become the world capital of poverty. And our political class didn't even stop for a minute to say, oh, these victims of poverty are the people that we govern.
At any point, did you ever feel your gender was going to be a disadvantage, as we don't have any female presidents in Nigeria? So do you think you're going to be able to break that jinx?
My gender hasn't been a factor in my believing that I could solve problems. Otherwise, it would have held me back. What my answer usually is to that question you asked is that, look, I have track record of having solved problems in different contexts. I mean, you can say my life story, my career path has been a career path where I have had to solve problems, work in public sector, work in private sector, work in civil society, worked in international development, helped leaders to build their nations, helped to ensure economic prosperity in countries, solved governance issues, done things that have brought me face to face with the regular citizens. Those skills that one has acquired and the character, especially that character, that steadfastness of character, to subscribe to certain fundamental values that matter for the growth of society, they all stand me out.
We'll be taking a quick breather on Politico Politica, but don't go anywhere because our Project Nigeria segment comes up after this break.